All right, everyone. Welcome to quarterfinal previews press conference here this week. 32 teams in the tiered system have made are still in playing a game. 8 teams are obviously officially their season's over, and 8 teams in Dynasty, their seasons are officially over. So I'm super excited. Sean, how are you feeling about the playoffs?
I mean, it's back-to-back years I made the playoffs in the LOC, so, I mean, whether you think my team's a pretender or not, at least made it to the dance.
I would agree with that. A chance at the dance, at least you have a chance. That's the thing.
Exactly. And, I mean, as long as my team decides they want to show up and not play, get sick and sit staying on the sidelines every week, I mean, maybe I'll win a game here.
Right on.
So yeah, you want to jump right into the consolation, or you want to talk about anything to look at in the standings or anything?
Yeah, I would just say for the 4 teams that are done, thanks again for your commitment to the LOC. I mean, Chris at True North dead last. That's crazy. 2-11. All of a sudden, he has me and Brian tied with him for career wins. All of a sudden, so. But one thing that's cool, if you guys just ever look, go to Trophies Trophy Room, and you can click on each individual team. And True North truly is the most decorated owner in the LOC with all the trophies that he has. And then Templars, obviously, he's going to look to rebound. Ellie Island, good luck to her. I'm excited to have a new competitive owner in there. And then, obviously, Brandon and the Architect didn't go the way he hoped. But, yeah, their seasons are over, and we can look at the consolation and, the loser bracket.
Yeah, we'll start. We'll start with 1 versus 8. We got the Age Crew versus Billsy Bob. What do you think about that matchup?
I think Billsy Bubs doesn't have a chance in this one. I think Adrian is the biggest surprise to be in the consolation, in my opinion. You could projection of 220 points, and I personally think that everybody in the playoffs should be happy that Adrian's in the consolation playoffs. I mean, we get to avoid him, and it's just one more competitive team that's not in the mix. But I think Billsy Bubs doesn't really have a chance in this one. He could prove me wrong, but the Age Crew has a complete team. He has a playoff team. It just didn't work out for him against Swaghino.
No, I agree. I agree with you there. I mean, I think it's gonna be closer than people think. I think it's gonna be like 10 to 20 point difference, especially once Billsy Bob updates his roster. He has a couple starters that are on his bench because they were on bye last week. But yeah, I think Age Crew has this in the bag. Next up, we have the Storm versus Canadian guy, and honestly, I think this is one of those games where it's in the bag for. I think Storm wins this. I think she wins pretty easily. Honestly, actually, I think this game is more of a blowout than the last game we just talked about.
Yeah, I think so too. I think for Storm, they had a chance to at least make the playoffs. And for Krista, Russell Wilson, Derrick Henry, those players didn't show up for her. And I have a feeling they show up this week, just a week too late. And I see the same thing. Krista winning this one. And hopefully Norm can find a way next year to improve his team and be competitive in the red and white.
I agree. I agree with you there. Next up, we have the sixth who fell out of playoff contention. He was in the 6th spot last week, and now he's playing the consolation prize versus BC Lions here, who beat me last week because my team didn't want to show up.
Yeah, huge shocker there. Stan still keeps finding ways to win. He sold everything, and he's still finding ways to win. 6-7, and for Milan, I think nothing short of disaster and disappointment on his side. The Zeke trade turned out to be a bit of a disaster, let's be honest. Antonio Gibson not in this week either. That was obviously a good pick for him, but for Milan, 2 straight losses at the end in the critical weeks is what cost them not getting in the playoffs. And
Exactly.
it hurt. I'm sure it still stings. I think Milan wins this one. Because I still don't even know how Stan beat you last week, but Milan wins this one, I think.
I agree. I agree with you there. Let's move on to I don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's talk about the 12th man in Fighting Geese. I think the 12th man wins this. You hear me week in and week out saying Sousa's team's not that good, and honestly, it's not that good, and I think the 12th man takes the win.
Yeah, her team isn't that good. I kind of agree with you there, but I also look at Brian's team, and clearly a lot of players that didn't perform for him. Kenny Galladay turned a massive disappointment. Mark Ingram was one of his keepers. I mean, he was, a massive disappointment as well. You got guys underperforming. Sanders, I think, only put up 4 fantasy points last week. So I think Suze is going to get an upset here. I'm going to pick it. Suze gets the upset. Templars, his season goes from bad to worse. He's hoping for Brian to get that, first overall pick from him, and he's just going to see it slip through his fingers, and it just turns into more of a disaster for Robert and Templars this year.
Yeah, the reason I'm going with the 12th man, I mean, if just looking at the running back difference, you would think Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs, and Sanders will at least score some points. I think Sanders, if with Hurts coming in playing, Sanders is definitely going to get a lot of, dink and dunk passes. He's going to get that 1 point every time. And he might catch 10, 20, even 20 passes this week against the Saints. So, I mean, I think Sanders is going to have a big game this week. And he actually gets the 12th man some points here for the W.
Fair enough.
All right, let's switch over to the actual playoffs here, the ones that everybody actually cares about. Let's start with Deuce Bombers versus Swaghino, and I think last week Ryan got pissed off that you kept calling his team a pretender, and they decided to put up a shit ton of points on you, for you. So I'm not going to talk bad about him, and I think he's going to win, hoping he loses. I'm trying to get the reverse curse. I think he wins here.
This game has so many storylines. Ryan and Deuce Bombers is number 2 in win percentage lifetime. Eric and Swaghino is actually number 1. Swaghino's 6 straight wins then the year here. I mean, that's phenomenal. Let's face it. The American division was calling out the international division for being weak, and here they represent 3 teams. I mean, they showed out, and there's a bit of a rivalry here between the international division and the American division this week. And I'm going to be, watching and seeing who's going to win between those 2 divisions and really who will have those bragging rights. This is going to be a tough one to call. There's no doubt about it. I think always the wild card for me with Deuce is always in the quarterback position with Cousins. But there's Dalvin Cook there, who's, I think, averaging 28 fantasy points a week. Like, that's insane.
It is.
You can win games on your own. And then, Lamar Jackson, he's kind of that wild card still, but I have a feeling Cleveland's going to take down Baltimore, and because of that, I'm going Ryan and Deuce Bombers. He's gonna show out this time, and the winning streak ends for Swaghino.
I'm right there with you. I mean, it's kind of scary good how Deuce Bombers running backs are, and then if he had Swaghino's wide receivers, the team would be unstoppable. I mean, it's which position players are going to be better? Do you want his running backs or do you want Swaghino's wide receivers? It's close to call. I just think Deuce Bombers' IDPs are just a little bit better. That I think they're going to get him the W here. Next up, we have me versus you. I mean, it depends. Honestly, it depends which one of my teams shows up. Either it's going to be the team that sucks and actually, they actually have the flu, so they're just standing on the sidelines to get you 0 points, or I might score, 270. I keep starting Matt Ryan every week because every time I bench him, he puts up 35 points for me. So, I bench him, he screws me. I play him, he screws me. My downfall is my quarterback this week or this whole season, honestly. So, I'm going to pick you for the win here.
Yeah, I can't believe how bad Flex 13 was for you. I mean, when that matchup was set up for you and you saw BC Lions, you're like, oh, right on. I'm sure that's what you're thinking.
Yeah.
And it didn't turn out that way. And it just goes to show you any given Sunday, anything can happen. The interesting thing when I look at the matchup, I have the Arizona running back Edmonds. You have Arizona running back Drake. I have Indy running back Hines. You have Indy running back Taylor. It's kind of funny to see.
Yeah.
So I just think I have a more complete team when it gets down to like the RWT flex spots. I think I'm just a little bit more stronger there than you are, with Higgins, Reed, and Jones. I think that's where the biggest gap is, and the tight ends, I guess. And I think that'll be the difference in the matchup versus you. And I am picking myself to win.
I mean, if Waller doesn't put up 4 touchdown passes, 200 yards, I think that's what he did last week, at least 200 yards. I know you had that. I mean, it's gonna be closer. I think it's gonna be closer than people think. But like you said, I think you have the advantage there, definitely going into it. Next up, let's talk about Suboptica Spartans and Life's a Mitch. I have Life's a Mitch, at least making it to the championship game. I just think his team's very complete. I mean, you can't root against the points for a leader going into the round 1 of the playoffs, honestly. And I honestly think he's going to win this one hands down easily, honestly.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to see it a little bit different. The thing is, too, my preseason pick was Suboptica Spartans. So I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going Suboptica Spartans for the pick. I don't know if I feel 100% comfortable with it, obviously, because I think Mitch is definitely a championship contending team. But Suboptica Spartans did some smart things when he selected his lineup in the draft. He went with some young guys that, I think he knew would get some playing time near the end of the season. Akers, Michael Pittman, Damian Harris. He's, Gabriel Davis has taken on a bigger role in Buffalo, obviously, with John Brown out, too. So I think it just comes down to, is DeAndre Swift healthy, and does he get a lot of touches, or does he not? And something crazy like that could happen, and maybe that's why I'm going with Suboptica Spartans. But really, it's just because he was my preseason pick.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So let's talk about a team that lost the division in Flex Week 13. You got Green Lightning and Too Good for a Name. I mean, sad for Too Good for a Name. Going to win that $50.
Yeah, I mean, always shitty, right? I mean, he's shitty when the time comes, and that happened this time. And he just got lucky. He has Eric and Swaghino to thank that he's in the playoffs. I mean, that's the reality. It's the only reason he got in. And but this is he has to have the mentality of, I got nothing to lose at this point. And this game's going to be tough to call. I think a couple of things going for Lucas is the fact that Antonio Gibson's out. Peyton Barber will be the number first down, second down running back for him there. He's going to have Mark Andrews back. I mean, all those injuries that he had before, those guys are coming back. And I think, the Zach Pascals of the world on Shitty's team are getting less looks. Plus, Jonnu Smith, is he healthy? So I'm picking Lucas and Green Lightning here to advance, and always shitty, stay shitty.
I agree. I think Green Lightning wins this game just because of Herbert here. I know Herbert was like -4 points last week, but anybody playing Atlanta, I mean, you're going to throw at least 2 to 3 touchdown passes. Let's be real there. So I think Herbert, is the edge for Green Lightning here and gets them the W.
That's a good point.
All right, now let's switch over to Dynasty, and let's talk about actually draft picks that we have. I was actually scrolling through the draft picks for everybody. So you don't have a first round pick; you have a couple fourth rounds. Everybody else really has their first, except I believe No More, Bill's Mafia, and I believe it's likely Losers that doesn't have it. And unfortunately for Fallen Misfits, Philly Miracle Men and Flaming Dragons, all the teams that they have first round picks for are actually in the real playoffs. So they're not even hoping anybody can get a good lottery bounce here. So I know who everybody's rooting for to lose, so they can get better picks here. But what's your thoughts on the lottery here?
Well, I think the lottery idea is super exciting. I'm glad we put it into Dynasty, and I've asked the league, what do you guys think? Should we do it during the finals? Bring Red Ranger back, long-haired Steve. They could do the draft again, and it might be kind of cool to do, during the finals week. But I'm hoping Robert does get that number one pick. He desperately needs it. I mean, he had the perfect season, 0-13. He's got 10 ballots. Hopefully he can find a way to somehow get that number one pick. But wouldn't it be crazy that a guy like Brian in Powers of Pain got it with one ballot? I mean, I
Yeah.
think Adrian had 2 or 3 ballots. I can't remember last year, and he got the number one. So you never know who's going to get that lottery pick, and that's what makes it so exciting.
Yeah, just to do a quick rundown, the Illuminati have 10 ballots. Lifes of Mitch have 8. Suboptica Spartans has 6. Optimus Prime has 5. Flaming Dragons has 4. Philly Miracle Men have 3. Unnecessary Roughness has 2. And as you said, Powers of Pain has 1. I have ideas on how we should do that the reveal, but we can discuss that later.
Sounds good.
So next up, let's talk about some real playoffs here. We have Bills Mafia versus No More. I know who I want to win. It's definitely Bills Mafia, so I get a better pick. But in all honesty, I think this is going to be a really good matchup. I think this is going to be pretty tight. I'm pretty sure No More beat Bills Mafia 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago that they played? I believe. Yeah. He beat them by close to six. What was that, by almost 90 points? So I think Bills Mafia is going to come look out for some revenge here, and I think it's going to be really close. But unfortunately, I think Philly Miracle Men are going to be disappointed. I think No More finds a way with the win, and he moves on here. And honestly, I think Tyson Hill versus the Eagles. I think Tyson Hill runs for 3 touchdowns here.
Yeah, I'm picking up what you're throwing down, to be honest. Chris and No More, remember, we're going to get a trophy here at Dynasty. Chris and No More is the people's champ. And, the reality is he has to defend his title. And obviously he runs in the Bills Mafia, who's already, doubled his money, got the regular season champ award, main division title. But I think the difference here is going to really come down to King Henry running wild on Jacksonville after he put up a dud against the Browns. And I think that's going to be the big difference. It's going to be, we see it all the time in fantasy where, the big players have a down game, and then after that down game, they come back, put up 40. And I think that's what King Henry has the potential to do in this one, and I think it's going to be the difference against Bills Mafia. And Bills Mafia, after looking so dominant, I think falls in round 1, and I guess you could say an upset here.
Yeah, I mean 1 versus 8, it's always an upset, even though the 2 teams aren't too far apart from each other.
So, yeah, no, for sure.
So next up, we have you versus Curly Lambeaugini. I'll let you talk about yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always still kind of surprised that I'm still here. Like, sometimes I'm like, do I have that great of a team? Like, because my wide receiver court sucks. Like, I got Hunter Renfrow, Jamison Crowder. Like, these guys don't really scare anyone, in my opinion. But somehow I just continue to win games. I think it's because, obviously, Chubb, J-Rob, Kareem Hunt, my running backs have done it. And let's not forget Deshaun Watson. I mean, this guy's top 5 quarterback in fantasy this year. But Curly on the other side comes right back with it with Kyler Murray, and I think he's got the big plays and Devontae Adams. But I think if you look at the full spread of the lineup, I think I'm just a bit stronger than Curly, and I find a way in this one. I think Baker performs on Monday night against Baltimore.
Yeah, I actually think the reason you win is because you just have slightly better IDPs than Curly here. I think they give you the edge. And like you said, I'm going to go with you for the win. Especially, and as you point out, the reason your team's actually putting up points, you have Watson. I mean, they're always in a shootout. He's always throwing the ball. They're always trying to score more points. The running game's not that great there. So Watson's doing everything for them.
That's a great point.
Oh, and by the way, Curly last week was actually outside the playoffs, and he snuck in.
Yep, another disaster for Ryan, and another year without the playoffs for him, and I'm going to keep rubbing it in until he actually makes the playoffs.
I would too. Next up, we have Orange Crush versus Likely Losers, and I mean, I'm a big fan of Adrian's team. I think it's really good. Even though he got the loss last week, I mean, any team that has Mahomes on it, you always have to root for them. And he's playing Miami. I mean, Miami's not that bad of a team where this game might actually become a shootout. It might be 45-35 or something like that. So he might put up decent amount of points. I mean, Orange Crush also has CEH, who I'm also hoping he scores a shit ton of points for them. And then, I mean, I Likely Losers does have Cook over there, but I just trust um, Orange Crush's wide receivers just a little bit more. I mean, Judy, I mean, we all know he did last week, nothing. Uh, AJ Green is getting older. I mean, he does have Diggs, but you have Pittman over there. You have Johnson. You have Higgins. Wide receivers. I mean, the tight ends are probably just a little bit better for Orange Crush. I'm definitely gonna go with Orange Crush with the win here.
Yeah, I think he's raised some really excellent points on why I think Orange Crush is going to win too. And obviously, big part of that every week is Rodgers and Mahomes 1-2, and I believe fantasy quarterback scoring. I mean, that doesn't get any better than that in a league where you can dress two quarterbacks. And I also think on Likely Loser's side, I heard a report that maybe Denzel Mims might not even be in this week because of a personal matter. So yeah, it's turning out to be, I think it's Likely Losers is probably just happy to be in, but I think he's going to be a one and done. And Judy has been a disappointment this year, I think, for first-year fantasy owners of him.
Yep.
Hopefully, obviously, in a dynasty league, he has a lot of time to hopefully get better. But yeah, I think owners have been disappointed with him. But go on Orange Crush here, and he's going to be a tough team to beat.
And Likely Losers has Matt Ryan, so he'll probably get him negative points there too. So the last game we're going to talk about is Vlad Junior Curve versus Zebras, and we all know how much I love Zebras' team. I'm actually going to take Vlad Junior Crew to win this. I'm going to change up my prediction. I know I've been picking her to go to a championship, but with Wentz being benched, I don't think she has a good enough replacement to get even 10 points for him. I mean, I know she put Graham in there. But still, I don't think she's going to be able to get that production replacement, and I think Vlad Junior Crew takes the W here.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I put this as game of the week, I think it's Vlad Junior Crew Zebras Part 4. So it's like crazy how many times they've played. So it's kind of a bit of a rivalry, you got to think, in that Pandian division. I think, for the same reasons that we were talking about Storm and Constellation, I think Russell Wilson's got a rebound against, a really bad New York Jets team. And I think Russell Wilson has potential to put up 40 there for Chris and Vlad Jr. Crew, and that's going to be a serious problem for Zebras. And obviously for Zebras, Antonio Gibson, he's looking like he's out now. He's doubtful. Does she add a quarterback? There's not much out there. I mean, she may be able to fill that 10 points, but you're hoping to fill those 10 points up with a guy like probably Brandon Allen, and that's going to be, obviously very risky. So yep. I think Chris and Junior Crew wins this one, and yeah, Zebras actually ended up really becoming a pretender in this one.
Yeah. Yeah, and like as we talked about last couple weeks, I was a huge fan of her team, and he was putting up close to 300 points. Pretty sure she put up close to 275 last week. So, I mean, it just shows how good her team is. But having, a quarterback get benched in the third quarter after halftime, you're not going to do much after that.
That's for sure.
So since there's no more predictions to do, and we're ending actually only 25 minutes after this meeting that we started. I mean, it's probably the quickest time we actually talked. So when are you going to burn that devil's sign behind you?
Oh, I'm never going to burn it. Never going to burn it. But, the reality is less matchups to preview. I just want to say thank you to all the LOC owners out there, though. And, especially Tier 2. Like, I know Chris and No More, he's a Tier 2 owner. Likely Losers, Bill's Mafia, those guys are two Tier 2 owners. The only one to make the playoffs out of the Dynasty owners in Tier 2 were Justin in all of his prime and Chris and No More. So a couple of familiar faces there that could make their jump to the LOC, and I think they are starting to realize, like, obviously the LOC is our primary focus.
Mm-hmm.
It's the league that's the first one, and you've been there since the beginning, Sean. And yeah, I'm excited to see who that tier 2 owner is going to be and join the international, because who, no matter who it is out of the 7 teams that have the chance to move up, I think they're going to be very competitive and bring a lot of competition to the international and just strengthen that division.
Yeah, and I can't wait to join there and win it every year.
We'll see. I mean, there's some competitive owners in there. I mean, some of the new owners, I think, kind of learned, holy shit, like this league's actually kind of hard, and they ended up there was a couple 1-12 teams, 2-11, and I think they learned their lesson. Like, you can't, ignore the waiver wire. Everyone in here is competing and knows, at least some knowledge of football. So, but it's good to see it's way more competitive, I think, than I've ever seen it before.
Yeah, for the new owners, if you don't have your 7th waiver wire possibility in, you're not doing it correctly.
It's true. It's true. Wait, take a lot of time. A lot of time.
Yeah, like I remember when I first started, I would go and probably put like 1 or 2 in. I'm like, oh, I'm never getting anybody. So then like I started putting like my 7 or 8 possibilities in, and like it was always like my 8th one that would ever go through. So yeah, you definitely need to spend some time on the waiver wire and look, especially, and learn your IDPs. That's very important as well.
Yeah, 100%. Well, man, I would like to say good luck to you, but I honestly don't wish you good luck, Sean. I hope I breeze through you in the playoffs. But thanks for putting this together, and I just want to wish everyone good luck this week. I honestly hope you do well, and lots of money up for grabs. So let's see who's going to take home the bag, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Have a good one, bud.